Hello, and welcome to our second episode of our Taoist quote. Right? We're gonna see if I have managed to learn it in the end, and yeah, and I have a very interesting remark that I have realized about this quote, and we're gonna talk about that in the end. It's related to how we learn about stuff and all that. But until then, I want to talk a little bit about Taoism. Now, what we have, Taoism is an ancient, and actually, I asked ChatGPT about it because it's easier. So I have my little sleepy cat tablet here, and it says that Taoism is one of those ancient philosophies that managed to survive thousands of years, mostly by not trying too hard. It's cute because this is actually what it says, to not try too hard. So, yeah, it's like the chill older cousin of every major belief system. Instead of obsessing over rules and moral perfection, Taoism basically says stop forcing things, go with the flow, literally, because that's the Tao. That's the Tao. It's written T-A-O, but you read it Tao with a D. Anyway, yeah, well, I like Taoism very much. I actually kind of found out about it a few years back, and it was very aligned with my way of seeing stuff and seeing the world, and it kind of came as a very interesting and acceptable solution for my struggles. It was not aligned 100% with my actions because I'm trying to be an overachiever and I want to do everything, everywhere, anytime, every time. And so in the end, it's not actually the best one, like the one that aligns 100% with my personality, but this is good because there are some parts of my personality that actually don't help me, and Taoism came as a complementary idea that will help the parts of my personality that need to be helped. Interesting. Anyway, we're gonna get there. So we have Taoism that has, and I want to talk to you about 4 parts from Taoism. Okay, first one is the Tao. That is the way, right? And the Tao is practically it's the main, the essence of the philosophy. The idea is that the energy in the world flows in one way, right? It's like a river, and that's the way it flows, and you will be happier. Your life will be happiest, and you will be most content and most happy with your life and with your actions if they are aligned with the Tao, with the way, right? And you will struggle more, you will be most unhappy, and life will be harder for you if you try to go against the Tao, it's like a river. If you go into the river, right, and you relax and you let yourself taken by the flow, it will be better for you. You will end up somewhere, right, and you will be relaxed. But if you try to go upstream and you have to swim and you have to do all that hard work, it will be hard for you, right? So this is kind of the idea. Taoists say that put your faith into the Tao, relax, and just go with the flow. The other interesting part that probably helps us a lot in our very busy society right now is the Wu Wei. Now, Wu Wei means that it actually means no action, right? Or action without action. It's interesting because it says that most of the stuff that we want to achieve, we can actually achieve, or no, if they are in our way, in the Tao, right? We can achieve them without acting, without action toward that. So doing this, you will end up to your goals, the goals that you are meant to have, meant to achieve, and they will make you happy, and you don't need more than that, right? You don't have to act towards that. So this is interesting because in our society where we can actually, we have a lot of stuff to do, we have a lot of deadlines, a lot of tasks, a lot of energy, action. Everyone says do, money, power, influence, and all that stuff. Here comes Tao Te Ching. We're gonna say what Tao Te Ching is as here comes Taoism, and they're like, chill, because happiness, real happiness, is not about that. Real happiness, it's about relaxing and putting your faith into the way, and you will be happy, right? And it's interesting. Yeah. The third thing that I wanted to talk about is Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is it's an ancient writing with sayings that are allegedly written by Lao Tzu. One of them is, our quote is actually part of Tao Te Ching, right? The story goes as follows, but it's just the Lao Tzu is there. We don't have any actual proof that Lao Tzu has existed, right? But the story goes like this: he wanted to leave his hometown, and the gods stopped him at the exit, and they were like, "Dude, you know so much stuff. You need to write it down." And he was like, "No." And they were like, "You must, or else." And he was like, "Oh, I don't want to know what else is." So he wrote Tao Te Ching. I don't know, but without the whole funky stuff, that was the kind of the idea. The gods did not let him leave the town until he wrote Tao Te Ching. So he wrote Tao Te Ching, and then they let him go outside of the town and whatever go on with his life. And that's how he got Tao Te Ching. Now, that's kind of the scripture, if you want, for Taoism. It's a list of it's a poem-like idea. It's not that big, and it has stuff like our quote. I'm gonna see it. And this is the weird part that I have not known about, but it's weird, maybe true as well. ChatGPT told me about it, so we're gonna take it with a grain of salt. I'm gonna try and research that a bit more until the next video and see if this actually happened, if this makes sense or not. But is the Taoist immortality quest. Since that Taoist, at least in the beginning, they actually wanted to become immortal, like the actual physical immortal, right? No death part, right? And they tried that in two ways: external immortality. So they practically started creating all these liquors, juices. I don't know. I wrote here alchemist brews. Yeah. With a lot of heavy metals, and they kind of died. They didn't actually end up doing that, end up immortal. But yeah, the second way of the way they tried to become immortal was the internal immortality, and this is a little bit more deep. What they said that maybe we can become immortal by meditating and seeing our life and our essence, and trying to keep it within us, right? I have the ChatGPT told it better here, and I'm gonna read it from there because it has some words that I don't remember. So internal alchemy, right? It's called Neidan. Not sure what that is. Yeah, the more sustainable version. This is the more sustainable version, and this turned the body itself into a kind of spiritual laboratory. Practitioners used breath control, meditation, diet, and sexual energy to refine the body's essences. We have Jing, Qi, and Shen into purer, subtler forms. The idea was to transform your immortal energy into something eternal. Less drink this potion and more become light itself. It's interesting because in the end they actually got some people they called Xian, I think, that they consider immortal, but not in the sense of they didn't die or they didn't disappear, but they became lonely hermits that would meditate all the time, and when they stopped their living, on this earth, they just evolved. They went to a diviner plane. So they are immortal in that sense, which is interesting. But yeah, the twist here is that in the end, people realized, the Taoists realized that this was actually, and maybe you felt that as well, this is actually against the Tao, because trying to force your way into immortality sounds like not being, sounds like going against the river, because you are forcing your way into immortality. So if this exists and this is something that we should achieve, then you will probably achieve it if you just go with the Tao. So the twist is that they realize this is not a thing that makes sense for, it's not aligned with the philosophy itself. But interesting to see that people that were very, very, enlightened, if you want, actually had very bad ideas there, right? Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to our quote. And let's see, our quote. I'm going to try and say the quote first. And I'm going to tell you why I remembered it without actually repeating it a lot. I repeated it, I have repeated it, I think, once, right? And it goes like this. Watch your words, they become your, watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits. What did the habits become? Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. Lao Tzu. Now this was very easy for me to remember. And the reason for this, and this is important, the reason that I remembered this very well is exactly the same reason that I can't remember stuff very well. It's interesting. The way I learn, the way my mind works is that it's very, very logical, right? And I will not remember steps one after the other, but I will remember how I would start, and then I would deduce the steps one after the other, right? I don't have to remember the steps because I will deduce them. I have a very, very good way of seeing problems and finding solutions. Very good way of seeing problems and finding solutions. Maybe not the one with seeing problems not that big, but the finding solution part, it's easy. I always find it very easy to find a solution to a problem, right? And this is because my brain is very, analytical, if you want, and it has always run like that. And this quote makes a lot of sense, right? So how you start? You start with you have a problem. The way you act, think, do influences your destiny, influences yourself. You start with your thoughts, and then you work out up towards your destiny. Watch your thoughts. They will become your words, right? You think, you talk. Then watch your words. They will become your actions, right? You talk, then you act. Watch your actions. They will become your habits. If you act something a lot, then it will be a habit. Watch your habits, they will become your character. This one's a bit harder, that's why it took me a little bit more to actually remember it. And then watch your character to become your destiny. So because I have this way of remembering stuff, this way of thinking, I remember this quote very easy. But it is not one that actually put me in the spot of trying to learn it. It's not one that actually tried my learning capabilities very much. So I'm going to try and find a better one next week. But until then, next time, we're going to talk a little bit deeper about Wu Wei, about Taoism in general, and how exactly, and I'm going to research this a bit more, how exactly can we apply Taoism with our specific psychologies, and our traumas. Yeah, but until then, thank you very much. I am very glad to have you here, and I am very grateful for you to be here, and thank you again. Ciao.